Hey everybody, it's John Kelly, your host of the Live Free Miami podcast, and today I'm here with a good friend of mine, UFC heavyweight, Jairzinho Bigi Boy Rozenstruik.
Oh yeah.
And it took me about a month to finally say your name correctly when we first started working together. Biggie, thanks for coming on today. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good, yeah. It's been a little rainy here in Miami. Have you experienced the rain here?
Yeah, take me almost an hour to get here today, so.
Yes, we're starting a little late, but better late than never.
True.
I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while, but the podcast is new, and when we started it, you were coming off a loss to Gane. And I didn't want to have you coming in off a loss because I wanted you to talk about the process of having a loss and then training, reflecting on your training, and figuring out how you could adapt so that you can continue to win in the UFC, because winning in the UFC is extremely hard. I think that, at least as your conditioning coach, when we first started, you were win after win after win, and it almost became like one of those things where we always expected to win. And then once we took some losses, it was kind of like a process where we had to go back to the drawing board and figure out what it is that we needed to do to take our performance to the next level as a team. How did you feel coming off of your first loss against Francis? And then, because I felt like the first loss against Francis was more of like a flash in the pan. There wasn't like a lot that we could take from that fight. And then we won the fight after that. And then we had the fight with Gane. And then that was like the first time where I know as a trainer, I felt very frustrated. And I could tell as a fighter that you looked extremely frustrated in the fight too. Maybe you could walk us through the mental process that you went through going through those losses.
No, actually, lose is learning, and it's hard in the beginning because as a fighter you have an ego. So you look at the fight, look at yourself, look at the whole camp, and try to find what went wrong in there. And I think on that day with Francis, he wanted it more than me. I wanted it really bad, but I think he wanted it more than me. And then it happened so fast, and I was like, okay, shit, what now? Go back to the drawing board, get this junior fight, win that fight. And then I got this fight with Gane. It was kind of a last-minute fight. I had 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and then it pushed back 2 weeks earlier. And I feel like I didn't do everything I need to do for that fight. And going into the fight without thinking of the time that I had 5 or 6 weeks, it was for me, let's go in there and put down the best performance, doesn't matter how. And then in the fight I got frustrated. I couldn't get it loose. I was even talking with myself like, come on, what's this? And yeah.
Well, he seems to do that to his opponents, because did you watch the recent fight against Volkov?
I did. Yep.
He seemed to frustrate him too. And I think that one of his strategies is to get fighters out of their game to play his game.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you were in the ring. I was just standing there watching.
I don't experience that.
No?
Nah. It was more my stuff. Like, I did it. I let him do that. Because I have all the ability to stop that, and I didn't. So, make me more frustrated. The first round, the second round, the third round, the fifth round, the fourth round, and the fifth round. So I was like,
that fight seemed really fast to me.
Me too. It's like everything go and done. I'm like, hey, I'm done.
Right.
No time.
Yeah. Did you feel like tired or anything?
I wasn't even tired. I was more frustrated. Can I get it go? Can I get it loose? I saw a lot of opportunities in that fight, and I was late. I was just late. And
do you think that maybe because you had such a short camp and the fact that the UFC kept changing the dates for the fight, do you think that had any influence on maybe your mental state going into the fight?
I think that's one of the things, but one other thing, what I sometimes I'm underestimate is um, like I used to play kickboxing before. Took fights after fights. I fight this weekend, fight the weekend after, fight the weekend after. This is the big league. This is the Champions League of MMA, mixed martial arts. So I can't say I'm gonna take a fight to do it 6 weeks or 5 weeks. No, I'm done with that. At least I'm in training for another fight, and their fight pushed back, and I'm in shape. Okay, then I can do it. But I'm not gonna do what I did the last time with Gane. I'm just gonna take my time, prepare myself, and go in there and win my fight. That's my last fight. I had a good camp, good preparation from the start till the end, and till the end of the fight. And that was me, and that's how I feel. And from the moment I walk out of the locker room, go to the octagon, step in the octagon, I know I'm gonna win this fight.
The Sakai fight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt that too. I felt you were a lot looser going into the fight, a lot more relaxed. Like when we were hanging out before the fight, you seemed much more relaxed. You seemed like your mind was at ease, and it showed in the ring. You were much more fluid. You were a lot quicker, and that's something that we always talk about with you, is that you have to use your speed and your athleticism, because you're one of the most athletic and fastest guys at that weight. And then when you display that speed, when you display that relaxed way of fighting, it seems like the knockouts come easy. It doesn't even seem like you're hitting guys hard from our perspective, but they're hitting the floor. What do you think when you walked into the Sakai fight, what do you think the difference was going into that fight compared to the previous fight?
I think it's from the whole camp already, from the beginning. The camp with the Sakai fight was like, no matter what's gonna happen, that's it. It's gonna be the best.
So was your mind state?
Yeah. And with the Cyril fight, I was like, hey, Mike, I have the condition. Yeah, Big, you good. Okay.
You were unsure.
Yeah. What do you think? Should I do this? Should I do that? And then he's like, Biggs, come on, just do what you do. You're there. I see you. You're ready. And he say I was ready. You say I was ready. Conan say I was ready. Mo say I was ready. But I didn't have the feeling that I was ready. I was like, okay, what if this happened? Okay, should I do this? Should I do this? So I was thinking too much, even in the fight. And then you get those results.
Yeah, well there's a saying, paralysis by analysis. So when you look at something too many times and you overthink, you disconnect from the flow state. You know, when you're fighting, I think thinking is the last thing you should be doing.
True.
You should be flowing. You should be reacting.
Agreed.
And in life, it's similar. When we are faced with a challenge, and a fight is the ultimate challenge,
yes,
the more that we overthink it, and we overthink our own performance, then the less likely we're going to be able to react in the situation. And I think that I noticed you grow from those fights where you lost. I saw that you went back to the drawing board and you changed your mindset. Your training was different. We didn't work together as much as we used to, because we know that your conditioning is not the problem. Yeah. It was your mindset at that point. So we had to change the mindset. We had to change the way we approached the fight. And when I saw you before the fight, I told my wife, I said, he's going to win, because your mindset was so different compared to the previous fight. You seemed so stressed the previous fight. And I know from my experience as a fighter, it's all mental. If you go in there thinking, shit, I might lose, you're going to lose. And if you go in there
I never think I might lose.
Well, that's why you're in the UFC.
I'm like, okay, if this happened, okay, I'm going to have an answer. I have plan A, B, C. If that doesn't work, I go to D, E, you know, so that's how I work. It doesn't work all the time, but I have those plans. So I never think, hey, what happened? I might lose. No, I'm going to go to war, try to go to war. And as the fight with the Gane fight, I was frustrated. I couldn't get a lose. I was mad at myself, even in the octagon, because I was like, come on, Biggs, let's go. Let's throw them. And it doesn't go. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. And do you think that mindset is probably the most important attribute that a fighter needs?
100%. Yeah, I agree 100%.
I don't think a lot of people know how much experience you have. You're relatively new into the UFC. Now you have a lot more experience. Over the last 2 years, you've fought probably more than any heavyweight.
Yeah,
I think you fought 4 times in 2019.
Correct.
And then in 2020, we had the coronavirus, so nobody really fought.
Fought 2 times.
You still fought 2 times.
Yeah.
And then you've already fought in 2021, and you got another fight in September. Do you think that being active is why the UFC granted you congratulations on your new 6-fight contract?
Thank you.
That's big. That's huge.
Really big. That's huge. It is. Now, I think answer to your question is, I'm a fighter like to be active. Train, fight. That's how it works for me, because that's how you win fight. That's how you learn.
That's how you get better.
Because it's after each other. So you don't have too much time for vacation. You can take 1 or 2 weeks and then go back in the gym. And then before you think it's another fight, and I'm in shape, I'm fresh in the mind. Don't take fights short notice. If I'm in shape, take a short notice fight. It's fine, but don't take 2 months off and then take a fight.
Short notice fight.
Yeah, no, that's really
bad. That's a recipe for destruction. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I should say, you definitely have seen this. Cyril Gane is going to fight Derek Lewis for the interim heavyweight belt. How do you feel about that, knowing that could have been you?
I see it 2 ways. The guy does his things. He wins his fight. He gets his opportunity. He's lucky. And to have it and to make it happen, it's in his hands. And doesn't to take away that Lewis is a bad piece. Yeah. So we're going to see how the fight's going to play out.
Yeah.
And right now I'm back on the winning side. Have this fight September 25th. Win this fight, I'm getting myself in title contention, and we're gonna all be there in the top. And before you think, it's my turn to take one of the big guys down.
Now I know that we discussed after the Gane fight how being a fighter isn't necessarily about always winning. Look at Nate Diaz in his last fight. He didn't win, but he got a lot more accolades. He got a lot more attention for his performance.
True.
And I think that fighters need to understand that you don't always have to win if you put on a show, if you fight your hardest. A lot of times it can be better to put on a show and lose than it could be to fight a boring fight and win.
Yeah.
How, as a fighter, do you go in there thinking, okay, I want to win, but I also want to put on a show? How do you balance those things out?
That's hard for me because I'm not focusing on the show. I want to win, and I want to do something spectacular. My fight with Cyril, for example, I didn't play. I didn't have the that's what I said. The fight was short. Was a short notice fight, and in the fight I didn't play, like move, create the opening. It was like, okay, he does this. Okay, let me go in there. Nah, normally it's like I play, create the opening, and soon as someone puts something, I finish it there, or I throw something, and then But the Cyril Gane fight, I didn't have that. And that's why I was a little bit mad at myself and disappointed, because nothing comes of nothing. You have to give them something, and then it happened.
Yeah, there's a sacrifice. Cool. Now, I know that we're talking a lot about the Cyril Gane fight, which is one of your losses, and not talking about your most recent win. But the reason I bring that up is because I feel like that was a crossroads for your career.
True.
Because up until that point, all the momentum was behind you on the way up. That was the first time that we saw you take a step back, because even when you lost to Francis, he was higher ranked than you. So it was like a win-win for you. You win, oh my God, it's the greatest victory ever. You lose, hey, you stepped up, you fought somebody higher up. Now this was the first time that you had lost to somebody below you. It pushed you down a notch. And I noticed there was a big change in the way you approached the game at that point. Because it is a game, and you need to understand that you need to play it in a certain way in order to continue to rise. You look at somebody like Conor McGregor, he knows how to play the game. He's a really good fighter, of course. He's a great fighter. But he worked his way up through all the other things that happen outside the ring. And I've noticed that you are now taking your training to different levels. We're going to boxing gyms now. We're not necessarily so focused on being defensive. Now we're focusing on being more offensive. Because coming in, you have 100 kickboxing fights, but you don't have a lot of MMA experience, and you still looked at yourself as kind of like a kickboxer doing MMA. In this fight, I felt like you were actually an MMA fighter. Maybe you could walk us through that transition.
Yeah, I think it was necessary to go back to the drawing board and make sure I'm not curious if somebody want to take me down. If you want to take me down, so go ahead. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. I did my homework, so I was ready for that. That was more the mindset, and to think as an MMA fighter, to think as a grappler, and soon as I processed that, it was easy to react when somebody took me down, get back up, get back to punching, hitting, and kicking. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, and now you're starting to actually feel like an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And be offensive with your MMA capabilities, because I've seen you wrestle. I know you're actually a really good wrestler. You're built for it. A lot of these guys are taller than you. You have a lower center of gravity. You can get in there, and your ground and pound is out of control.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't know that that's part of your game. And once you start to institute that in your game, people are going to have to really worry, because now they're worried about your striking. But if you start taking people down, you start working your ground and pound, it's going to elevate your game to another level. And I think that's what's going to separate you from the pack, is keeping your skills evolving, and then using those skills so that you can open up your striking.
Yep.
Because people get so worried about your striking that they're always on the defensive for your striking. As soon as you start putting them on the defensive for your takedowns, now the striking is going to open up too. And your next opponent, Curtis Blaydes,
that's a pure wrestler.
He's a pure wrestler, right?
Yeah.
That's his style. And his last fight that I saw was against Derek Lewis, where he was winning that fight up until he got caught with the knockout.
Yeah.
How do you see an opponent like Curtis Blaydes? Because you called him out.
No, I didn't call him out.
You did?
No.
What did you say?
I think Anthony Smith said a fight that makes sense, or was Kieran says was a fight that I say it makes sense. He was calling me out for a while now. So if that is the fight to bring me back in the top, let's go. That was it.
Right.
If I call you out and say, hey, you know what, Curtis Blaydes, I'm calling you out, then I called you out.
Right.
And that wasn't the case.
You were just saying that makes sense.
It makes sense. It makes really big sense.
It makes dollars too.
Of course. Because, I mean, I'm number 6. He's number 4.
Right.
And I fight him. I win him. I take his place. And that's what I want. So that fight makes sense. But
Definitely.
I didn't call him out.
Yeah. But that's a fight you've been wanting. I know you've wanted that fight for a while.
I mean, if that's the fight to make, and I'm ready for it. So, yeah. And it's a fight that's going to come anyway.
Right.
So
that's life, right?
For sure.
You got to bring the challenges on.
100%.
I mean, you're not in the game to sidestep challenges.
No. I'm not sidestepping him.
No,
I'm not walking all the way. If the fight comes, I take it.
Yeah.
For sure. But he wanted that fight earlier. But I was like, in my mind, take it easy. Your time will come. And now the time's come. September 25th. It's going down.
And you're excited?
Oh, yeah.
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 What have you been doing since the last fight? I know you got a new 6-fight contract. Has that energized you at all and made you want to just get to training? And have you had to kind of slow yourself down a little bit?
Slow down a little bit after the last fight. It's more relaxed, like 2 weeks off. And then I got the deal. And for me, it's another big opportunity to make it happen. 6 fights is a long way. And yeah, right now that's it. And I got this big fight with Curtis Blaydes. It want me to train for sure, to be ready for the September 25th. No matter what, no matter how, that fight I have to win.
So I know that you grew up in Suriname. Maybe you could walk us through what it was like growing up in Suriname, and then what it's like living in the United States. When you grew up in Suriname, what was your daily life like when it came to, I know you were going to school and just like everybody else does in every country, but what was it like comparable to the United States?
I think growing up in Suriname and to compare it a little bit to the States, is you seeing everything that I see daily on TV. Yeah, it's like everything is the same that you see on TV. And growing up there, going to school, it's relaxed. We do the same thing, play with our friends, chill. go to school after 1, go outside, play with your friends, and then at the, let's say, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, I was playing basketball, I was playing soccer, so we were just doing those things. And then I talk about my age of 10, 11 till 17 or 16, before I entered the boxing gym.
Yeah, and that was because you were too rough on the football field,
I
right?
was always rough, still rough. Nah, I was always fighting with my friends because my friends were guys who like to how you call this in English?
To horseplay, like rough house, like mess around.
Say bad things to
like
friends.
talk shit to each other. Yeah.
So I'm a guy. I was a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, less talk, more action.
Yeah. So I was hitting them, and
you were hitting your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we weren't talking for 2 weeks, and then we talk again. Say,
of
I don't like what you did, blah blah blah, and then they do it another time again with other friends, and then we fight, and then.
Yeah.
So it was always fighting.
Were you the guy teaching everybody lessons about life? Like, don't say that because you might get hit?
No. I just don't like when people say bad things to me, and that's my reaction.
Yeah.
Hit you in the face.
Yeah. And once you started going into the boxing gym, did you feel like you have found home for your temper?
Actually, it happened different. I went to the gym and I was like calling everybody out who wanna spar with me, and I got my ass whooped.
That's typically how it works.
And then I was like, oh, okay. I go to the coach. I say, I want to train to beat that guy. That's how it happened. And they say, just come here every day for 3:30. So I just did that. Go to the gym, start learning me, go back home. And then after, I think, a month, Mike stepped in. Mike came with his nephew, and then first they beat us down.
And Mike's tiny.
Yeah, and his nephew is the same as him.
Really?
And we were all big, tall. But we didn't know anything about fighting.
Right.
We know how to hit hard,
right?
But we don't know any technique. So they beat us down, and then we started listening to them.
Right.
Like, okay, if you say I can do this, how should I do this? And then he explained, and then how it go. And my first fight, lost. Mike was gone, and there was a fight, and I was like, hey, I want to fight. And everybody, all my friends was fighting, and I'm the only one. And I brought them to the gym.
Oh, man.
So I was like, no, I want to fight. Okay, go in there, get my ass whooped.
How'd you lose?
Points?
Yeah.
But I got a lot of low kicks.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't walk after. And then Mike came back after 2 weeks, and he said, I warn you guys, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's an old guy, it's a dad. It's like, I warn you guys, don't do that, this. And I, okay, I'm going to listen to you. But what should I do? Because I want to win my next fight. And then we trained for a month, 4 weeks, because we had an event from the gym coming up. All the fighters from the gym, he put the fight. I think it was like 14 fighters. So like against the rest. And I just train hard. Listen, everything that Mike told me, sleep early. And we go in there and I win the fight, second round, knockout.
Nice.
And that's how the career started, because I win all my 16 first fight, I win by knockout first. Yeah.
Wow, all 16?
All 16.
And what's your favorite punch?
I think the jab.
Damn, knocking people out with the jab?
Oh, a lot of people I knocked out with the jab.
Really?
Yeah. The jab is one of the dangerous weapons of mine.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you knock out, what was that guy's name, Crowder?
Oh, yeah, Crowder. Yeah,
you knocked him out with the jab.
Boom.
Yeah. 9 seconds, right?
Yeah, that was nice, because I have many records. Like,
I know you do.
9 seconds, okay, that was it. That was the fastest. But I still have 10, 19, 20, 25.
Yeah. And you have 25 minutes and 24 minutes and 50 seconds versus Alistair.
Oh, yeah. That's also
that was
crazy.
the longest knockout. And then in the last fight, you knocked the guy out in 4:59 with like 1 second to go.
Yeah, even I was like, every time I entered the octagon, something special happened, and I think that's who I am. And
yeah, I think you got dynamite in your hands. That's the thing.
For sure.
So now that you're got a 6-fight contract coming up, you got the fight that's going to help propel you back into the top 5. What is it you think that you can do as a professional better?
A lot.
Like, what are some things that you'd like to work on?
I think especially the mental part. I just find a way that before the fight, I just switch my phone off. Like 3 days before the fight. Don't focus on the phone. If you want to call me, it's necessary, just call Mike.
In the past, were you on the phone more leading up to the fight?
Yeah, talking with friends. Just relax.
Sure.
Not bad things, but just relax.
Right.
And you're gonna go on social media, you're gonna read, and then before you think, you're an hour, 3 hours on the phone, and that's the time you're supposed to rest, think about the fight as a fighter, because the fight is in 2 days, 3 days, and you have to overthink the fight, play it all over again, so you know what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, and that wasn't the case. I was more on the phone, and I was like, I think maybe it's a bad thing.
For sure. Who tells you to get off your phone?
You.
Ah!
You tell me many times, even with training, like after training, Bigi, leave the phone. But it helps. Even at night, I just put down the app. I have this ring from the UFC that I get, the Aura ring.
Nice.
It has an system to play some breathing exercise, and I put that and I go to sleep before it's done. So that's what I do now. Like if I want to go to sleep early, like 11, 10, I just put the app, and then if it's done, I think it's 9 minutes. If it's done, I just put it again, and I think in the second one, I'm passing out.
Yeah, I do the same thing when I need to go to bed and I have trouble.
Yeah.
I put on like something to help me breathe, just to guide me. And usually by the end of it, I'm kind of out.
Yeah.
And I just like turn it off and I go to sleep. Yeah, and I think that I'm glad that you're actually listening, because I know how important it is for you to recover, because you train multiple times a day.
True.
And when you train multiple times a day, when you train one time a day, especially at night, we usually work together at night.
Yeah.
It turns your nervous system on, and then it makes it harder for you to go to sleep. And then if you can't get good sleep, you can't recover, you can't improve, and all of those things begin to create negative momentum. And as a pro athlete, it's like you're always on call. You're always being called to train, whether it's in the off season or what. And MMA doesn't have an off season. Yeah. So like you're always training in some capacity, and then you're training at a higher level. So it's like you even have to be a little bit more disciplined when it comes to your recovery,
sure,
your diet, and not drinking alcohol, and then also lowering your stress levels in your relationships and other stuff like that. And I think that since you've started instituting that, I've definitely noticed, like in the last fight, the way your mindset was totally different. And I think the audience can benefit from understanding how important it is to make recovery a priority. Even if it's just breathing for 9 minutes at the end of the night, it can make a big difference in your quality of sleep.
It does. Yeah, I think the recovery time, I worked on that, and it helps. Yeah, so mindset you're working on. I know that at the boxing gym, you're working on more head movement, more counters. More head movement, then let the arms go. Because I'm a guy, I'm like to punch. I can kick. I have all type of kicks. But with the hands, I'm faster. And with my head movement, they don't see it coming.
Yeah.
So
and you get hit less too.
That's it. But that's the fight. Hit,
right.
But don't get hit.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I think it's the most important part. Is the most important thing I did for my last fight is that I go back to the boxing gym, and I had some good rounds there. Yeah, good rounds. Light guy, I sparred with Yuneski Gonzalez. He's a lighter guy. I think he's 185, but he moves fast, and that helps me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's tall too?
Yeah. He's a little bit shorter than me, but he's tall. But I had some good rounds with him.
Yeah.
It helps.
You felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's big. Feeling good is 90% of it.
True. And Mike was telling me, you know what, Big, I see you are the 80, 85, 75, 80. I want you on the 90. So I was like, yeah, I understand. And closer to the fight, he was saying, Biggs, you're there. I see it. Almost. I think one more sparring, you're going to be right there where I wanted you. But right now, I'm seeing you touching it. So that's one of the things I noticed that, hey, I'm sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, fighting for you has been what you've done for probably the last since you were 17.
Yeah.
So 15 years.
Yeah.
You're 33 now?
Yeah.
16
correct.
years.
Yeah.
So I know that for me, when I hit 35, I started to really notice a decline in my performance, but I was a little bit different because I was also working at the time. You don't have a job, so you can really recover. You can go longer. And a lot of fighters you see now, like Stipe, Daniel Cormier, they're going closer to 40.
Yeah.
So you still got 5 years of your prime left in you, which is a long time to fight. Have you ever thought about what you want to do after your fighting career?
I think about a lot of things after my fighting career, but I didn't make a decision like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, 100%. No.
Because everything changes all the time.
All the time. Yeah. So I kind of put down a couple of things and I just leave it right there. And now with the COVID and all the things that happens with the COVID, it's like, okay, just wait a little bit. So let's see what's gonna happen. Right now, focus on the fighting.
Right. And then become the president of Suriname.
Oh, that's something nice. Yeah. So that's what I was thinking. Like, put it there and then
put it out there.
Yeah. And
then work towards it slowly.
Slowly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
We win the belt first.
That's the most important
because we got
thing.
some rematches we need to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We got some.
So let's see how those guys gonna play out. No, now I'm focusing on the fighters in front of me.
Right.
The Curtis fight.
Oh yeah.
I think it's one of the
we
biggest
have
fights.
to. That's one.
in my
Yeah.
career.
I think that, let's say, other than Ngannou, this is probably the biggest name that you fought, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
And he's only lost to Ngannou and Lewis.
Yeah, and
right?
Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a big fight for you for the next stage of your career.
100%. So I think it's one of the most important fight right now.
Yeah.
Be this guy and then change my life forever.
Yeah, because nothing exists past that fight at this moment.
Nope.
All we got now is the next 2.5 months working towards that battle.
No. Is it 2.5 months?
What's it, September 25th,
July.
Right? We got July,
let's
August,
say
almost
3
3 months.
Yeah.
Pretty much 3 months. Where's the fight going to be at?
No location yet.
No location yet?
So I know
probably
that
Vegas.
I know that this guy, how he's called, Blachowicz is the headlining, and I think Fakinowski Ortega.
Blachowicz, what division is that?
Light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight?
Or is it title fight?
Oh, Jan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Who's he fighting?
Teixeira.
Okay.
Alex, yeah.
So then it's not going to be a fight night.
No.
Nice.
It's going to be a pay-per-view, and I think Fakinowski fight on that card too with Ortega.
So do you like being the main event, or do you like being like fighting sooner in the night? How do you like that?
Both, but the main event is you getting your name more out there. Everybody knows you. Everything goes about you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you need to build your brand, your name after the fighting years.
Right.
So I like the main events more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get more eyeballs on you.
Yeah. We need that.
For sure we need that. Yeah. Well, I think that's pretty much it. I just wanted to kind of get your view on the next part of your career, how you were able to take those losses and use that as motivation to win your next fights and then propel yourself forward, because we know as a team that in order for us to beat the top guys, we got to keep evolving.
Yep.
And getting a 6-fight contract from the UFC is pretty much the icing on the cake.
Yep.
That tells you the UFC also sees that you're evolving. Yeah, and that you have the ability to be a contender and to win that belt. So I just want to say that, personally, I'm super proud of you, because I saw how those fights went and I knew how disappointed you were in your performance, but the way you came back showed the heart of a champion, and it inspired me to want to do better. It inspired me to want to be a better coach. It inspired me to start training again. Yeah. I've been training, messing around, having a good time, and I only wrestled today for like 3 or 4 rounds, and I'm super sore. So now when I think about you, when I was at home taking a shower, I was thinking, damn, Biggie's sore all the time. And like, I'm always yelling at you like, Biggie do this and Biggie do that. But really, it's like it's not easy.
Nah,
It's not
that's
an easy game.
But
on
it's
your
what we
body.
love. It's what we love, and it's what it takes to get us up there.
Yeah.
So this is the next level, and that's how we're supposed to train. And I miss those training though, so we have to get on it.
So you're coming back soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thanks.
No problem.
For
Thank
sure.
you.
My pleasure.